Humidity and Clouds, Learning Target 45. I can describe the process of cloud formation and the weather associated with different types of clouds. So we're going to start by talking about relative humidity. Relative humidity is the measure of the amount of water vapor that is in the air compared to or relative to the amount of water vapor that the air could hold at that temperature. So we record it as a percentage. So how does humidity relate to temperature? So in general, as the temperature increases, the relative humidity decreases. And then as the temperature decreases, the relative humidity increases. So this is because warm air expands. So when it expands, it can hold more water vapor than cold air. So let's look at an example. So if we're at 10 degrees Celsius, this is how much water vapor 10 degrees Celsius air could hold. So that's 100% of it. So now let's look at what would happen if we warm up the air. So now if we have air at 20 degrees Celsius, that same amount of water is only occupying 52% of the air. So that's 52% relative humidity. So if we make it even warmer, if we go up to 30 degrees Celsius, we can see that the warm air has expanded and this same amount of water vapor is only 28%. So let's look at another example. We have two images down below that contain air and water vapor. Now you guys remember from the atmosphere unit that air is 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen. So both of these boxes have nitrogen and oxygen. Nitrogen and oxygen. So we want to answer the question, which air is more humid? So this air has 4 circles that represent water vapor, and this one has many, many more circles representing water vapor. So this box on the right is more humid because there's more water in the air. Now, fun fact, it is harder for you or animals to cool down on humid days. So if we have a 30-degree day and low humidity, that means there's low amounts of water in the air, this cow can sweat and release that moisture into the air because there's not a lot of water in the air. So the sweat can go into the air. But if we have that same temperature and we have high humidity, the cow cannot release the sweat into the air. And so that's why we feel like sticky on humid days, because our sweat is not escaping into the air. It's staying on our bodies and it feels sticky. So let's talk about clouds now. So clouds are liquid water droplets that are floating in the air. In order to form a cloud, we need 2 things. The first is a condensation nuclei. Condensation nuclei is a fancy word for dust, sand, salt, or some sort of other small particle in the air. These small particles could be smoke from a forest fire, or they even could be pollen from a plant. So the second thing we need in order to form clouds is that we need water vapor or gas condensing and turning into a liquid droplet. Because remember, clouds are liquid water. So we have our little condensation nuclei, or our piece of dust or sand, and we have gas around it. The gas condenses and turns into a liquid around that particle, and that makes a cloud. So in order for that condensation to occur, the clouds need to reach, or the water needs to reach, the dew point. That's the temperature where condensation occurs. So let's look at the recipe or ingredients we need to make a cloud. The first thing that we need is we need moisture in the air. Moisture or humid air is going to be a lot of water in the air, and so that's going to help us to make a cloud, because remember, clouds are made of water. The second thing we're going to need is we're going to need that warm air rising up. Warm air is less dense, so it lifts. When that warm air lifts, the temperature is going to drop. So the warm, humid air will cool down, and it's going to change from a gas to a liquid. So let's review how to make a cloud. We need moisture in the air, and we need warm air rising and condensing into a liquid. So our particle, our moisture in the air, it's going to rise up in the air and cool down and condense into a liquid water droplet. Gotta love technology, right? All right, so we're gonna look at the different types of clouds now. First one that you guys are gonna need to know is cumulus. Cumulus are those like fluffy cotton balls in the sky, and they indicate fair weather. Fair weather is just like nice weather, pleasant weather. It's not raining, it's not storming, it's just nice. Got fluffy white cotton balls, blue sky. Second type of cloud is a stratus cloud. So stratus clouds form in layers or sheets, and sometimes they can take up the whole sky. So when we look out, it just looks completely gray because we have a sheet of cloud. These often give us light rain. Light rain doesn't mean storms, it just means like sprinkles throughout the day. Third type of cloud is cirrus. So cirrus look like curls of hair, eyelashes, feathers. They're very, very high up, and they're made of like ice crystals, and they indicate that we have fair or pleasant weather. But typically when we see cirrus clouds, we know that some sort of change in the weather will be coming within the next day or so. And our fourth type we're going to look at is cumulonimbus. So cumulonimbus is a special type of cloud that's anvil shaped. So these usually bring really heavy rain like thunderstorms and lightning. They can bring like blizzards, hail, and even tornadoes. So one word that's going to be important for you to know or recognize is nimbo or nimbus. Whenever we add nimbo or nimbus to a cloud, it means precipitation. So we can have a nimbo stratus cloud, which is a sheet cloud that produces gentle rain, or we can have this cumulonimbus that gives us thunderstorms, lightning, big, big, heavy rain. So remember, for precipitation, there's lots of different types. There's liquid rain, there's sleet, which is liquid and ice, and then there's snow, which is that solid water. So let's review. So we have low-lying clouds that are fluffy. We call those cumulus. Then we have our sheet clouds that form in layers, and that's a stratus cloud. Really, really way up high, we have our cirrus clouds. We can even have a very special type of cloud that is on the surface of the earth. It's touching the surface of the earth. We call that fog. Now, if we have a stratus cloud that produces rain, then we're going to add nimbo to the beginning of it, and it's a nimbostratus. Because remember, nimbo means precipitation. And then our last type is our very, very tall storm clouds, which we call cumulonimbus. And because we have the nimbus ending, those produce rain. All right, now that we've completed the notes, you guys are going to go find the Google form, complete the summary questions. Number 1, how does temperature relate to relative humidity? Number 2, what 2 things need to happen to make a cloud? And number 3, what are the 4 main types of clouds?